Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 23 of the Foot Basket Podcast. I'm glad that you're here today. I'm glad that you tuned in. You found this episode. If it's your first time, I hope you enjoy this episode of Foot Basket. That you will hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Continue to tap into future episodes. It drops every Tuesday at 12 p.m. I also have a Instagram called Foot Basket Podcast where you can follow that page. Stay updated, stay in tune with all Foot Basket Podcast things related. We're just been going over the to-do list. This is going to be part one, so we're going to be going over the Eastern Conference teams. I know that we are now in the conference finals, so we're kind of in that area where, like a team like the Knicks and the Cavs, the two teams that are in the Eastern Conference finals, they don't need to have a lot to do. They can kind of just run it back, keeping their players and stuff like that and just running it back. But the teams that are out, even like the teams from the semis, I think they have some things to do that are required for them to want to be able to make that next step. So we have the Eastern Conference first. Can't wait to get to that. I want to first give all the glory to God, allow me to do this podcast, allow me to be here, continue to grow it. I am so grateful to be able to have the opportunity to do this podcast and have the viewers, the subscribers, the support that I have, and that it continues to grow. So, but yeah, I'm excited to go over what I have written down, what I've taken, taken some good notes, my opinions of what should be done. I think over this off season. So let's get straight into it. I want to first talk about the semifinals. Eastern Conference semifinals, Western Conference semifinals between, the first two games that were already done, the Thunder versus Lakers sweep. Maybe we don't got much to talk about that one, and then the other one was the Knicks versus, or the Thunder versus Lakers was a sweep, I believe, and then the Knicks versus 76ers was also just another snooze fest as well. We had two really good other games. The game 7 of the Cavs Pistons, and we had the game 6 of Spurs Timberwolves. Unfortunately, like the closing out games were both kind of just You know what I'm saying? The Spurs just gave the Pistons belt and or the Cavs just gave the Pistons belt and the Spurs gave the Timberwolves belt. But the series throughout the whole time was a good series. I definitely enjoyed it and watching a guy like Cage show out throughout the whole playoffs. He's been one of my favorite players to watch throughout the whole playoffs, and I've been so glad to watch this Pistons team. And they were kind of the team I was going for. I had mentioned it last week. What team am I going for? What team am I kind of rooting for? But I was really hoping that the Pistons could win. I don't think that I think whoever comes out of the Pistons Cavs series, Knicks is gonna win. I think Knicks have a easy road to the finals this year finally, because they've really bought in for the past 3-4 years ever since they brought in OG Anunoby and Cat and making those big trades. They're finally able to get this opportunity to get to the finals. I think this is definitely your year, but I really was hoping the Pistons could really come out of it, and they were on home court in Game 7. They were 4-0 before that game on closeout games, so we were like, oh, and they're at home, and Detroit basketball, everything's going crazy, but they ended up losing that game. James Harden didn't have the best of series, but he played what he could have. Game 7, Donovan Mitchell showed out. Shout out Sam Merrill and the Cavs. That boy showed out for them, for the city. And then switching over to the Spurs Timberwolves series, it was going to be Spurs. I think no matter what, I don't think much people had the Timberwolves, but I'm glad that Timberwolves made it a series and it wasn't really such a snooze fest. We had the only times that the Spurs lost, Wemby got fouled out one time, or he got ejected one time, the other time he had a concussion. Oh no. Okay, I think the Spurs had 3 losses throughout the whole playoffs. One time Wemby had a concussion, another time Wemby fouled out, and when I fouled out, got ejected, and then I wonder. I think another one he got fouled out. So I think the only 3 losses, Wemby didn't play the whole game. So I think when Wemby's fully on the court, they win the game. They're undefeated. But as of right now, I was watching halftime of OKC versus Spurs, and it was what's it called? Spurs was winning a little bit. And I was like, okay, we'll see what ends up happening. They held shades of 4 points in one half. 4 points in one half. Hey man, we'll see how the Spurs defense plays this series, because I'm excited to see this series. It's going to be a lot of great defensive stops, defensive plays out of the Spurs. We're going to see a lot of defense out of OKC, so I think it's going to be a great series. And even with the Cavs versus Knicks series, I think it's going to be a banger as well. Hopefully the Knicks don't smack them too bad. Shout out to the present. But let's get into the to-dos that needs to be done this offseason. These are for sure needs to be done from each team. We're gonna spend a lot of times on others. There's gonna be some where we're literally gonna say the statement and we're gonna move on. There's one team that has that great player. We don't got much to say. They got one to do. But let's start with we'll just go from top to bottom, according to the standings. So we'll start with the newly eliminated Pistons. What they need to do. I think the obvious answer. I had two answers here. The obvious answer is finding that secondary creator. Now making K do everything. Dennis Jenkins did a lot of that in the playoffs, and him being an undrafted player, like a second round player, for him to have that opportunity and just relieve Cade some of that pressure to create everything. It was a relief, and we even saw in multiple games. I think it was a couple games in the Magic series where they were even putting a Sar Thompson on the floor because they needed that secondary creation, and Jalen Duren was having a terrible series. So them finding that secondary creator is going to be very, very important. And then a second thing that I don't think I know much about is Jalen Duren's up for an extension, and he's going to be talking to the Pistons organization with his agent and stuff like that. Is what does my extension look like? Because I was a All NBA third team caliber player throughout the regular season. My playoffs I kind of dipped, and now we're kind of looking at, is Duren going to still ask for a bag because he had 82 games of being a great player and then in the playoffs he didn't show out, or is he not going to ask for a bag and test free agency next year because he's going to be a free agent, not this upcoming free agency, but next free agency if he doesn't get his extension. So yeah, but that's what they also have to decide on is if Jalen Duren and his agent comes to us, are we deciding to pay Jalen Duren his bag for 82 games of a great Jalen Duren play, but once he gets to the playoffs, he did not look too good. That's something they have to decide on and decide whether or not Jalen Duren is worth, because he's extended for a great extension. If you don't know exactly how the extension works, if you get a certain All NBA, you get this maximum. If you get All NBA second team, you get this maximum. All NBA first team, you get this maximum. MVP, you get this maximum. All Star, get this maximum as well. It just changes from what you do throughout the season. Certain averages helps your maximum go up and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think Jalen Duren is available for a really big contract, and he's gonna be asking probably for that. And then the Pistons gotta be like, hey, nah, you're not worth that because we'd rather have mid Jalen Duren in the regular season and a great Jalen Duren in the playoffs, and you haven't showed us that. So we'll see what the Pistons do. But their number one priority is finding that secondary creator. So we'll see what they end up doing, because they didn't even find a secondary creator that's a 2 or a 3. I guess you can find some creators at the 4 and 5, like Apollo, like a Jason Tatum, stuff like that. But I think a 2 or 3 would be perfect for this team. I think a guy like Tobias Harris and Jalen Duren is a great front court. So yeah. For the Celtics, I don't even know really what to say, because this was such a what's the word? It was such a season that we were surprised by and we didn't expect much, but then also it was very disappointing because we were surprised by them getting the 2 seed, and then once they hit the playoffs, we're like, okay, this team looks like they can win the chip, and it was very disappointing losing the first round. I just have them finding a true point guard and center. I think their 2 through 4 is perfect with Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Core is perfect. I know there's also there's rumors of them trading Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum and stuff like that. I don't think that's what the Celtics need to do. They just got out of the second apron. They were in the second apron 2 years ago when they won a championship with Porzingis and Holiday, and those contracts. They can just kind of do what they were doing this season with they don't need these super big maximum players. And trading Jaylen Brown, you're gonna have to trade him for another bigger contract guy and bringing him in. Man, you're gonna want to have to buy into maybe a bigger contract point guard, stuff like that. But I think them finding a mid-level at point guard or mid-level at center, making best of what they have is kind of what the Celtics have been doing this whole season. So I don't think they really need to buy into such a big market of players. But yeah, I think having that true point guard, having that center, which Peyton Pritchard didn't do bad, and Neemias Queta did not do bad. But if you guys really want to buy into next season, winning a championship, bringing that back into your city, that's kind of what you guys gotta tap into. Raptors. This one's an exciting one. They have I think one of the most excited teams to see what they do this offseason when it comes to free agency, when it comes to the trade market, stuff like that. They definitely need to just make that big splash, make that big trade, make that big signing. Because they brought one of the potential championship teams to 7 out of the East. And this is without Emmanuel quickly. This is with a Yaka that had like back problems the whole series, and you guys had Colin Murray Bills. I think he's listed at 6'7", being your full time center. And also, with no Emmanuel quickly, you don't have much creation. So it was just it could have been a different series if people were a little bit more healthy. You know what I'm saying? We had a great series from Toronto, having that big shot by RJ, having the overtime games and stuff like that, and then going into Game 7 with the scores being exactly the same. And that was like the first time since like 2016 that has happened. And so yeah, they had like a great season, and I just think they just need to buy into. And I think a guy like Brandon Ingram, you're not safe. And then how he played in the playoffs was also another thing with them not being healthy. Brandon Ingram didn't play in that Game 7. I don't think he played in Game 6 either. So Brandon Ingram's at least halfway healthy. What does that say you look like? You know what I'm saying? I think they have the bench rotation. They have the bench depth with the Jamal Sheds, the Colin Murray Bulls. If you're able to bring them off the bench, or if you have to start them, give away. You have the Jamal Sheds, you have the Mamus and stuff like that. That they are able to use those people's talents and make the most. There was one game that they brought in Jameson Battle, and that boy Jameson Battle hit like 4 threes. He had like 9 minutes in that game. He hit like 4 threes, and he was playing good basketball. And it was like they were able to bring in those type of guys. Type of guys made plays. So that's that for the Raptors. For the Hawks, also this was another one that was kind of like difficult, but like there's so many different things that they could do because we don't. I mean, they're kind of in a weird position where they sold at the trade deadline, but they became better. It was kind of weird where they sold off Porzingis, they sold off basically their franchise player Trae Young, and then they go win a 12-game win streak, and we're like, and then they bring they start off with the series 2-2 with Knicks New York, and we're like, oh my goodness, CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum's gonna be a free agent this year, so that's another decision they have to make. Is like CJ's gonna be 33 years old, 34 years old, and he just did so much for us in the playoffs. Or we just tell him, hey, you did that for us, and we ain't sending you no bag though. Definitely them finding a ball handler if they don't get CJ is definitely on their to-do list, priority list. Because if you don't see CJ was one of your ball handlers, and if you don't get him out of free agency, you need a ball handler on that team. A young core is very young, and there's so much potential with the Jalen Johnsons, Dyson Daniels, even with the Zachary Reese-Shays, even the Jonathan Kumingas, Nikhil Alexander-Walker is even that old. You guys have like the secondary pieces, the third pieces, the role players. Now you kind of just have to continue to build around the edges, and if you guys could get into the big trade talks with the John Morants, the Giannis's, stuff like that, which like I don't think Giannis is the one that is possible for you guys to trade here with the pieces that you have, because you don't want to really give up a Jalen Johnson or maybe it's like a research. It could be up, but you guys really need that ball handler if you don't get CJ. But I don't think next year is the year you guys really buy into trying to win the championship, even though you guys had a great season and a great playoff run. Even though in the first round you guys had a great playoff series. I just don't see how you guys can beat one of these East teams next year. A team like the Knicks is probably gonna run it back. A team like the Raptors is gonna be buying into next season. The Celtics are gonna be good again. The 76ers are unfortunately gonna have to really just buy into next season according to their contracts. So you gotta really think on whatever we do, are we gonna be able to beat one of these teams, and also are we gonna be able to beat whoever comes out of the West to win that championship? So like, is it really worth trading this first round pick to get eliminated in the second round? Nah, I don't think so. Talking about the 76ers, I just mentioned them. They're kind of in an unfortunate situation with their money problems and the bad contracts and the players that they do have. They have a Joel Embiid that's aging, and he's not in his prime, but like he's kind of still a great player, and we saw that in the playoffs that he was fighting through injury, and he had crazy good games. You kind of have to buy into that right now. Like, buy into that before he gets too old. Buy into that before he continues to regress. And you have a Tyrese Maxey. He's in his prime. VJ Edgecombe is looking great. But then you also have Paul George, and he's on such a big contract. I think his contract is bigger than Maxey. So you have a big contract in Tyrese Maxey, huge contract in Paul George, huge contract in Joel Embiid. I don't know how much Kelly Oubre is getting paid. You're going to have to pay VJ in 2 years from now. So if there's any way, which is going to be so hard to get out that Paul George contract because nobody just wants to take in such a bad contract of Paul George, which I think he has 1 or 2 years left with a player option as well. So, oh my goodness, whoever has Paul George is chopped. But yeah, they're just kind of in a situation where they kind of either have to really buy in again, or if they're able to trade or get off that Paul George contract, y'all gotta think about selling. Y'all have to think about selling, because it is a Tyrese Maxey. Because you're not gonna get anything from a Paul George trade. There's no way you could get anything from a Paul George trade just because of how bad his contract is, and he's just not as good as he was. So is a Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Joel Embiid team gonna beat this Knicks team, this Celtics team, Pistons team next year, which I forgot to mention last time? Are you gonna beat one of these teams? And even if you do, are you gonna beat the team and come up the West? Again, like even with the new lottery that's been in place, something that all these East teams have to think about is because their ultimate goal is to win a championship. Their goal is to not. We made the championship and then that was our goal. We did what we wanted to do. We did our plan. Their goal was to win get that Larry Brown trophy. Can you beat whoever comes out of the West? Which, I mean, for the next 3-4 years, it's going to be OKC or Spurs. To be honest with you, it's going to be OKC or Spurs that's coming out the West for the next 3-4 years with how young their core is. So, do you believe that you're going to beat everybody out of the East and then come out the West? That's something that we seriously got to think about if you're able to get out that Paul George contract. For the Magic, I mean, something that is obvious is who's going to be our coach. You definitely need a unique offensive coach, because that offense this season throughout the playoffs was so stagnant, so one-sided, so one-dimensional. It was not flashy. It was not unique. It was just mid. It was just very mid. The defensive identity that was in the playoffs was absolutely amazing and made your games fun to watch again. Watching it during the regular season with no defensive identity with this offense, especially in the half court, is so mid that it's just like, it's like, dang, where did the identity go? Where did that defense identity you guys had last season, where you guys beat up on the Celtics? The Celtics came out of that playoff series 2 years ago with freaking bruises because y'all were playing so good defensively and throughout that whole season, and then it just died during this regular season. But y'all brought it back. Can y'all bring it back again next season with a coach that can push that defensive identity, but also bring some uniqueness and some plays to the offense? And y'all got a lot to think about with the Jalen Suggs contract, with the moving of rumors of trading Paulo or trading Franz or trading one of your guys, because y'all can't just run it back with a new coach. Y'all need to splash into something with his trading Jalen Suggs. And he is a max player. He's someone that's making $32 million a year, something like that, and you can go get a big name with that amount of money. So like, who is your big splash? I forgot to look at Magic's draft picks. I was looking at some of these other teams' draft picks and what their draft picks are looking like. Like, it seemed like the Heat have draft picks to use if they want to go splash. That's where they're kind of in the John Morant rumors and the Giannis's rumors. Magic, if y'all have y'all first round picks, y'all gotta kind of be in those rumors too, because I mean, y'all just been running it back for like 3-4 years now. Y'all been having the same core of the Jalen Suggs, the Paulo, the Franz, the Wendell. I mean, Anthony Black is kind of in here now, but like you're just only trusting that your players just gonna continue to get better and you have to keep that core, but it's not really running back. It's not really running back. You guys aren't making really progress. You guys are staying in the first round and getting eliminated in the first round. So we gotta see what the Magic do, because they have to decide how they're gonna buy into next season. How are they gonna become better? Which they thought them bringing in Desmond Bane and trading all those first round picks, which just made me think that they may not even have that many, because they traded like 4 first round picks for Desmond Bane. That was them buying into this season, being like, okay, we ran it back for 2 years straight. It wasn't working. We gotta really buy into someone big. They bought into Desmond Bane. People thought, okay, this is like a 50-win season for the Magic. They ran it back, lost first round again, 3 years in a row. So what can they do on the edges? What can they do in the star power to really just get past that first round? You feel me? Okay. For the Hornets, one of the best teams to watch this season. That play-in game was absolutely cinema. We don't have to talk about that Magic game. That play-in game was absolute cinema. I think, in my opinion, it's just around the edges fixes. It's the bench fixes. I know a guy like Sion James and Ryan Cogbunner. I think that's how you say his name. You're hoping those guys progress really well and they could be staple bench players off your bench. But just fixing around the edges and maybe even making like a mid-level, signing plus trade. Like a guy like a Miles Bridges may not be too safe. A guy like Diabate may not be too safe. Because if you could go, trade Miles Bridges for this and this will never happen, but for like a OG Anunoby type of player, or I don't know who would be on the market at that power forward spot. But trading a Miles Bridges is someone that like we have love for Miles Bridges. He's been there for a minute, but like Lamelo is a staple piece. Khan is basically a staple piece in the city. Brandon Miller is basically a staple piece. Everybody else, you're not safe, and I think Miles Bridges is one of the guys that can be moved, possibly to make this team just make that jump into being a contender. But I think their first priority is just doing those around the edges fixes, the role players. But I think if you guys have the opportunity, the phone call that comes in of trading a guy like Miles Bridges, I don't think you guys should stray away from that. Because I think them running this team back with the LaMelo, the Brandon Miller, the Khan, the Miles Bridges, and the Diabate, I don't think this can beat a New York. It can't beat the Pistons. And it definitely can't beat whoever comes out the West. So you guys have to figure out who can we bring into this team to really think we could believe or think we can beat these teams, the Knicks, the Pistons, stuff like that. So that's what I have for the Hornets. The Heat I had just mentioned. Draft capital is what they have. They have all their first round picks, and they are in the rumors, and that is why, because they have the first round picks to give away. And like a team that is receiving first round picks from Heat, hey, listen. Bam is getting old. Tyler Hero got like a year or two on his he has like 2 more years on his contract, 3 more years on his contract. If you bring in a Giannis is gonna be getting old. If you're able to get a Miami pick from 3-4 years from now, boy, does that sound good. Boy, does that sound good. If I'm the Bucks and they offer me a pick from 3+ years from now, they number one. They number one on my report. They number one on my report. I think Bam still has like 4 or 5 years on his contract. He has a fat, long contract, but they are in these rumors, and they need to stay in these rumors because they've been playing 8th seed, 7th seed, 10th seed, 9th seed, 8th seed, 7th seed. Even when Jimmy Butler was on the team, it was the same thing. They can't keep staying around this area, and they are a bigger market that can bring in these big names, and that's what they need to do. We saw with Norman Powell signing last year, but they just continue. They need to continue to act upon in free agency. They can't be too safe. They have to take that risk, and I think that's what they've been kind of doing. They've been doing the safer, signings of the Norman Powells, keeping their guys and just drafting, and it's just like y'all just staying in the mid area. Now I think that's the worst place to be as a team. The Steelers, this is off topic, but the Steelers are literally in the worst place as a team in the league, in my opinion. Because you guys have just been in the middle of the pack every year where you're not getting a top 5 draft pick or you're not winning a Super Bowl. And that's kind of where the Heat are at. They're kind of just not getting a top 15 pick or not even like a top 10 pick, and they're not winning the championship. Them buying into a Giannis, them buying into a John Morant, stuff like that can get them into that area. So hopefully the Heat don't be safe and they really buy into getting a big name this offseason. So we'll see what the Heat end up doing, but they have the draft capital, so they definitely need to tap into that. For the Bucks, was one of those ones I said, we don't got much to say. It is just trading Giannis. That's all you have to do. That's your only thing I need to do this, because I know the GM had sent out a video or a comment or answer a reporter's question, something like that, saying that Giannis wants to win a championship. That is what he wants. And we're either going to send him to a place that will help him do that, or we're going to build that ourselves. Milwaukee, bro. Right now, you guys were, the 11th seed? 12th seed, something like that. Giannis doesn't even want to be there. First, you guys had these issues with Giannis, you guys making Giannis sit out, and he doesn't even want to sit out. So you guys are already having star player and organization tension there. You guys don't have any role players that I believe can be a part of a championship contending team. Maybe Gary Trent is like a role player you could trust being, but like a Kyle Kuzma, no. Or Ryan Rollins, like I love Ryan Rollins, like the way he plays, his game style, everything like that. I do not believe Ryan Rollins is a role player on a championship level team. So you guys don't even have the role players to then add a star to, because that's what you kind of have to do if you want to keep him around. If you want to bring a championship to Milwaukee, is you need to just bring in a star. You can't just bring in role players, and Tracy Honest is gonna carry out to beat everybody out east and then beat whoever comes out west. So, shout out OKC or the Spurs. So, bro, please just trade Honest. That's all. That's your only to do list. Y'all have the shortest to do list out of everybody in the East, probably out of the whole league. Y'all have one job, so hopefully they don't mess it up. Cause y'all is not bringing any. There's no. Y'all don't have the money because y'all still have, dead cap from the Damian Lillard signing. So you guys are already like not even. Bro, just please don't make it complicated. Just trade Honest, please. The Bulls. The Bulls did exactly what they needed to do. They cleaned house, took out Billy Donovan, took out the GM, took out the president of basketball operations guy. Just did a whole clean house, just similar to what Detroit. Y'all give me these NFL shout outs. Similar to what Detroit did, bringing in Dan Campbell, bringing in a new offensive and defensive coordinator, and cleaning house, bringing new players, trading everybody, stuff like that. That is what the Bulls just did, and now they have opportunity to get a Caleb Wilson, a Cam Boozer, a Darren Peterson. I think AJ DeBonta would definitely be out by 4. But you guys have this. If you're the GM, you basically have such a fresh start. This is like as fresh of a start you can get. You get a 4th overall pick, where this is whoever you get at 4 is going to be generational. At least this is what what they're saying is that you're going to be generational player. So you have a new VP of basketball operations, new GM. You're gonna have a new coach. You guys already have a Modest. You already have even like a Rob Dillingham that can like possibly grow. You have a Josh Giddey. If you want to add Patrick Williams in there, and Patrick Williams is a little bit of a stretch, but you guys have these young players, and you're about to have a 4th overall pick, and you have the money to sign somebody in free agency. Amen. You guys got off the money off Vooch. You got the Zach LaVine contract a couple years ago. Got that off. The DeMar DeRozan contract. Got that off a couple years ago. You guys are money free. You guys aren't any cap space like second aprons, anything like that. You guys are as a fresh start as it is. With the lottery changing, you guys definitely kind of have to buy in a little bit into this free agency. Maybe just a trade that you guys can do. You guys have all these guards, so maybe like an Anthony Simons can be traded, or even though y'all couldn't do it at the trade deadline. But you have a lot of time. I have so much time in this free agency period for a team that could really use the ball handling. Maybe even a guy like Trey Jones could be traded, where Trey Jones had a great season. He had like an underrated season. I'm not sure because I was watching Chicago Bulls games, but he was also one of the biggest markets in the NBA. So you guys could sign these big names. So Bulls, I'm excited for what the Bulls are gonna do. Because they're not in a position where like the Wizards, like this season they were terrible, but next season we know they're gonna be good. The Bulls, like we're expecting them to not be really good next season, but they can really change our minds real fast with this upcoming free agency, because they were one of the bigger markets where players are gonna want to come to Chicago and stuff like that. So, hey Bulls, I got one of the freshest starts I've had since D Rose and them. Because even the year Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan was carrying out the team, nobody was trusting that team was gonna win a chip. So. But yeah, Nets. Yeah, I'm about to bring out something that most people do not know, and I am scared. I am scared as a fan. I'm not that scared because like, the team that be getting. Let me say the news. The Nets don't have their 1st overall pick this year, this upcoming season. The Nets were also one of the worst teams in the league this past season, and there's not anybody on their team that we're looking at and we're like, hey, that guy's going to carry this team to at least this amount of wins for them to not give away a top 5 pick. Because Michael Porter Jr. is in the trade rumors, and teams are going to be looking for a guy like Michael Porter Jr. A team like the Pistons, a team. Could Michael Porter Jr. even go to like the Heat? You know what I'm saying? Like a team like that are looking for a guy like Michael Porter Jr. So he's definitely in those rumors. So even if you trade away Michael Porter Jr., you're just bringing in more younger players, more draft picks and stuff like that. but there's no like star on y'all team. You know what I'm saying? Like Nicholas Claxton about to be one of y'all best players if y'all trade Michael Porter Jr. You feel me? So y'all not having your first overall pick, which if y'all don't know, their first overall pick is basically Houston's. Houston gets to decide whether or not they keep their pick or they get swapped to Nets pick. So if the Nets get a top 5 overall pick, they can just swap and take the Nets pick. Or if Houston gets a top 5 overall pick, they just keep their pick, whatever. Um, but yeah, so the Nets, y'all need to do something to. If y'all end up trading MPJ, y'all gotta do something to buy into the season because y'all can't just lose and just give up a top 5 pick to a good Houston team with a young core because that's just gonna bring another Western Conference team, which I guess isn't a Western Conference, so it doesn't really matter for y'all in the East, I guess. But dang, bro, as an NBA fan, we're not trying to see these 3 super mega teams, and everybody on the West is just cooked. Everybody on like the Timberwolves, bro. If somehow, like Houston just like becomes one of these mega teams as well, like the Spurs and OKC by getting like a top 5 pick in next year's draft, and then they end up getting number 1 somehow and getting a superstar, and like now they have Sengun, they have Almond Thompson, they have Jabari Smith Jr. This number 1 overall pick guy, whoever they trade KD for, because KD may not even be on the team a couple years from now, stuff like that. It's just like a team like the Timberwolves and like the Lakers and these teams that are like not super team, like crazy teams, but they're good teams. Are just like, bro, we got all these good players for no reason, because we just not being the Spurs, we not being OKC and stuff like that. So then I don't know what y'all need to do because y'all probably gonna be trading away MPJ because I think it's gonna be some good packages coming our way for MPJ. But boy, y'all cannot just be losing this season. Y'all feel me? So y'all better lock in. Pacers. Y'all really hoping that Halliburton is gonna be good when he comes back. Because we've had times where players tore their Achilles and they didn't come back as strong and stuff like that. There's definitely been more times that players came back and they looked as like the same guy. But if Halliburton does not come back good, and y'all just gave away with a 6th overall pick, 5th overall pick to the Clippers, and y'all have a Zubac contract, which isn't too bad, but y'all just have this older center that would just be sitting in your roster. You have a Pascal, like it's just like, dang, you feel me? I just gave up the 5th overall pick for what? If Halliburton does come back and be good. We're hoping that Halliburton, because if Halliburton comes back and plays like himself, they're definitely a playoff team. And they have Zoo, they have Pascal. They need to, and if you because like of course the only people are really seeing how Halliburton is playing as a trainer, as a coach, and stuff like that. If you see Halliburton playing as good as he was last season, y'all have to fix around the edges. Y'all have the star, you have the co-star Pascal, y'all have the really good role player in Zoo. Y'all has Benedict Mather in that trade, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. I kind of had to find those around the edges fixes, stuff like that. So if you see that Halliburton came back and he's playing good, y'all really have to buy into those around the edges, bench players, fixes, stuff like that. Y'all have a TJ McConnell, which is good, but just finding more of those type of guys. And lastly, the Wizards. I have a one statement, but we talked about it for a little bit. But my one statement I have for the Wizards for the to-do list is y'all are blessed. That's what I have to say. The Wizards, first overall pick this year, Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Alex Sarr, who had a great season. I think even if AD is injured, this team is still a playoff team. And something that they can do with them thinking that, because a team like the Mavericks last season, if AD plays the whole season, they're like a AFC possibly playing team. But where was I going with this? Yeah, if he's not playing, they're one of the worst teams. But for the Wizards' sake, if AD gets injured, you guys don't have to rush to bring him back to kind of get that playoff push. I think your team can hold it down with the amount of young players y'all got and the star player y'all got. That y'all don't need to like rush AD's healing to try to bring him back on the course so y'all can win games, because y'all gonna win games regardless, in my opinion. I think y'all stay above 500 or around 500 with AD off the floor or on the floor. Of course, I would think y'all, of course, a better team with AD on the floor, but y'all don't need to like hurry up his healing process. Hurry up. When are we gonna? Can we bring AD the shortest time possible? Y'all could literally wait the longest time possible to let him heal if he gets injured this season. But if he doesn't get injured this season, y'all have Trae Young, which hopefully we're hoping that Trae Young comes back, which he had a couple games in the Wizards uniform. He wasn't looking too bad. But hopefully as he gets the system more during training and stuff like that, Trae Young, AD, Alex Sarr had a great season, a very underrated season. AJ DeBonsa, which I'm pretty sure that's who y'all picking up. Don't mess up. Yeah, don't mess up what y'all got right now, cause y'all got blessed. So don't mess it up. Don't mess it up, bro. But AJ Dewansa, and all of these young guys that y'all have, y'all drafted so many young players over the last 3-4 years because y'all just been trash every year, and now it's really paying off. And with these, and it's perfect because this is where the lottery odds have shifted, and now it's changed, and it's perfect for y'all because y'all bought into this season. So, hey, y'all really blessed. As a Wizards fan, I hope you're feeling good out there. You should be feeling good. You should be feeling great. Alex Sarr about to have I think Alex Sarr is gonna have one of the biggest breakout seasons here. If he wasn't a most improved candidate this season, which I don't think he was, he could definitely be a most improved candidate. I don't know because he has AD, right? So, and AD can be getting some of them blocks away from him. So that's on points as well, and then rebounds as well. So I don't know, but yeah, this is the to-do list for each Eastern Conference team. This is part 1. I'm gonna be doing part 2 either next week or the week after. We're gonna see if anything big happens. I'll probably be doing it next week, but we'll see what ends up happening for the Western Conference because there's a lot of things for some of these Western Conference teams to do. Because can y'all beat OKC and Spurs? That's literally all it is. As a GM, you gotta be sitting in that office with your VP of basketball operation, with your assistant GM. I gotta look at each other and be like, can we beat OKC? Can we beat San Antonio? That question if is anything that's not a yes, there ain't no point. There is no point in buying in, bro. Y'all can't just be like, yo, hopefully Wimby get injured. Hopefully he drop his head and get that concussion again. Hopefully SGA, who has never really been injured, just gets a career-ending injury, season-ending. I can't open that luck, bro. So yeah, the Western Conference, bro, it's a little different out there. It's a little, at least the Eastern Conference teams, I gotta see OKC or Spurs into the finals. The Western Conference team might have to see them first round. You know what I'm saying? Shout out the Suns. Y'all had a great season, but dang boy, I got smacked. But yeah, this is all I have for episode 23 of the Foot Basket Podcast. I'm glad that you watched all the way to the end. If you had any quality issues, I should have mentioned in the beginning of the video, hit that settings button, hit quality, you could advance it to 1080p or 1080 pixels. That's what I'm filming at. I think YouTube automatically does 320. Just do the highest or whatever. I think it's 720 or 1080. But yeah, I'm glad that you tuned into this episode, that you tapped in. Make sure you tap into next week's. It's going to be Tuesday at 12 p.m. I'm glad that you watched it. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. I'll see y'all guys next week. Peace.